think what we saw here today was that as the game waned on, especially, and you saw it sort of with that bird throw and then with the last throw to N'Keal Harry, Cam's trust in that protection really declined as the game went along. And there wasn't a whole lot of him looking down the field, a lot of opportunities for him to drop back and just kind of scan the field and sit there and see if there was anybody open, because he seemed to get a little bit wary in the pocket, and his pocket awareness wasn't great either. I thought, a lot of people talked about how Cam played poorly against the Raiders. I thought this was probably his worst game of the year so far. I thought this was probably the receiver's worst game of the year so far as well, so it's not all on Cam. Probably the whole offense's worst game of the year. It was just a disaster on that side of the ball. We don't want to make it about practice, but I think what the thing about practice that sort of speaks to this overall point that I'm trying to make. First of all, for Cam's throwing mechanics and his cleanness as a thrower, that is all going to come with practice repetition. And if he doesn't get that repetition daily in order to make that mechanical switch and be able to stick with the new mechanics, with the better throwing mechanics that Jedd Fisch and the Patriots have worked with him on, it's going to start to decline, and his muscle memory is going to start to go back to what it used to be. The second thing is they had offensive linemen just playing in different spots all over the place. They basically had nobody in their week one starting spot. Isaiah Wynn's playing guard, and Joe Thuney's playing center. And because of that, this offensive line, this group of five, didn't practice at all for any point in time over the last 2 weeks. So I wouldn't say that practice time was the reason why they lost this game. They definitely had some opportunities, and you can't use that as an excuse. But I think the shuffling on the offensive line got killed by the lack of practice for sure.
Yeah, that was a mess, and that was difficult. But again, if we're not going to blame practice on it, certainly it contributed to what happened. But what happens going forward here? This isn't an offense that you feel great about. To see a performance like this, in this game, regardless of how little time they had to prepare for it, really has to raise some red flags here and a lot of concerns. And again, we don't need to sound all of the panic alarms all at once, but I mean, if you look at the schedule so far, they won the games they were supposed to win. They were competitive in the games that you thought that they might lose, and really had a chance to win both of those. And so you felt okay after 4 games. You can't feel okay about what you saw today.
No, definitely not. Now you're 2 games back and 5 weeks into this, or 5 games into this season of Buffalo in the division, and they don't look like a team. Yes, they got beat badly by the Titans last week on Tuesday, but then that's going away anytime soon. So getting back into this division, 2 games back, 5 weeks into the season, 6 weeks into the season is not easy. It's not going to be an easy thing for the Patriots to do. They might be more, statistically speaking, it's almost, a 90% chance at this point that Buffalo wins the division. And I know that those statistics can sometimes be loosey-goosey, and you can obviously see a lot of comebacks and scenarios where the statistics were wrong, but probability-wise, the Patriots probably are not going to pull the division back unless Buffalo has a catastrophic collapse here down the stretch. So I think that they're in jeopardy now. If they can't get back on the practice field this week to have some sort of normal practice routine, that's going to be killer for this team. They need to get back out on the practice field. They need to get back into their normal routine, and they need to start winning some football games. We need to see some Patriots football where they rattle off 9 out of 10 wins or something like that in order to really keep pace in the AFC. Otherwise, they're going to be vying for one of those extra wild card spots at this point. I don't want to get too doom and gloom, but I do really feel like this team, as currently constituted, has a lot of deficiencies on both sides of the ball.
You ready for the other conversation you're not going to want to have this week?
Oh yeah, what is it?
How solid is Cam Newton?
Is solid in what way?
In his role as starting quarterback.
Oh, well, he's going to be the starter, but today was definitely the second half especially. I thought he played decent in the first half, actually, given what he was working with. The second half was not good, and I think it's what I started with. The regression of his mechanics, especially on that throw to Damiere Byrd, was pretty obvious. And when you see him starting to, throw with square feet to his shoulders, and it's all just kind of like, all arm, right? And when you get into that mix with Cam Newton, that's literally why the ball fell short. It's a javelin, and while he had Damiere Byrd behind the defense, and he short-armed it because of his mechanics, and he's going to – Jedd Fisch, I know, is going to correct it, but they need him back out on the practice field to correct it with reps. It's a muscle memory thing. You have to be able to just do it. You can't be worried about it,
Yeah, but again, the first will be there if you have another Newton stinker. Stidham was just elevated to second string. Okay, so
this is a John topic. I'd much rather talk about the receivers stinking than Cam Newton losing his starting job.
I know. They would never bench. Bill Belichick would never bench an incumbent quarterback.
Right.